It's 7 years since the devastating Grenfell Tower fire in London, in which 72 people died. Today, a final report exposed deficiencies in building companies, the London Fire Service and successive UK governments. While its publication has brought renewed attention on what the Scottish Government is doing to avoid a similar tragedy here. Here is a reminder of the background then. Holyrood was given more than £97 million to carry out removal of potentially harmful cladding on buildings. As of May this year, less than £9 million of this had been spent, just 9% of the total. A Scottish Government pilot scheme identified 105 buildings where cladding is due to be removed, about a quarter of all the Scottish buildings where dangerous materials were identified. Just last month, the first complete operation was announced in an Aberdeen tower block. By contrast, England is around a third of the way to achieving its targets. Katrina Renton reports on the concerns that remain.
So I actually bought this flat in May of 2018, and I'm talking about this flat here.
Abhijit Kadwe thought he'd found his dream home. 6 years after he bought the flat, he's still waiting for remedial work to remove cladding from the building. Abhijit says the dark panels are made of aluminium composite material, like those on Grenfell. The panels around his flat have been removed. He says this is a stopgap and wants the work to be done now.
We still find ourselves as vulnerable and as anxious and worried as we were 6 years ago. And when you actually see the pictures of the horror that actually took place in Grenfell, you kind of tend to feel that, you know what, I mean, am I doing the right thing by letting my family be in this kind of a risk? Or am I better off moving them away to somewhere safe?
Abhijit and his family have since moved away, but he did say that there are fire wardens and other precautions in place in the building.
So we've got a very enhanced fire detection system in place, so which will kind of alert the residents, like, you know, even if there's like an iota of a chance of the fire taking place somewhere, then it'll quickly alert the residents and they can sort of rush to safety.
The Scottish Government has a policy of not identifying individual buildings whose cladding it's committed to removing. But in July, it was announced that this block of flats in Aberdeen was the first in Scotland to have dangerous cladding removed and replaced as part of a government pilot scheme. Today, as the Grenfell report was published, we've been asking how much work has been undertaken in Scotland to deal with the issue.
Since obviously the fire itself, there's a number of actions that were undertaken, obviously on fire safety. We've obviously had the waking watch for some buildings that you've talked about there as well. We had the fire and smoke alarms combined also brought in terms of that. So there's things we've already done in terms of that. In terms of moving forward, we had the cladding bill just in May that was brought in, and we're working forward in the pilot programme just now. So yes, I think we're moving forward at a pace.
Scottish Labour has queried why more of the money provided by the UK Government for remediation following Grenfell has not been spent.
That money has been sitting there for years. It's come from the UK Government, £100 million. We've been asking the Government to spend it to make buildings safe, and now they're talking about raiding it. The people who are in these buildings who can't get insurance, who can't remortgage, who are fearing for their lives, need this money spent on making their buildings safe.
Abhijit would love to go back to his home one day, but not until the cladding in question is removed and replaced.
This is a ticking time bomb, the way I see it. I mean, it's a death trap. So the sooner we can get this out of the way, the better for all the residents, because we can get back to our normal life and we can resume our normal life.
Katrina Renton, reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
Some of the day's other stories.